What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and oof, the Suicide Squad had its box office numbers over the weekend release, and they are brutally bad. And this is a movie that basically most people agree is pretty good. I'm not a Squad guy. Also, James, he's a little slimy for my taste, but it wasn't really high on my list to watch. Now it is on HBO Max, which means I can watch it at no additional charge. And I've had 3 days up until this point, four, I think. Still really have no interest in watching it. I think that in the kind of this new world we live in, I don't know what this means for theaters. I think that, if you go all the way back and you look at what I've been saying about, the movie theaters and large gatherings, like there's a lot of people that just aren't doing it, aren't going to do it again in this kind of new post-lockdown world. Even though we have 700,000 people going to Sturgis, apparently the movies really isn't something people are willing to risk it for. You can see the box office, or the budget for this movie is $175 million. Which means they'd have a potential break even of 3 to 400 million, 3 to 350 maybe. If you look at Wikipedia, they have 185 million. Sorry, for the sequel, the Article 21 standalone sequel. Sorry, this one had a budget of $185 million, featuring Margot Robbie and many others. And it opened to a lowly $26 million as moviegoers stay home amid the new scare. Now, maybe that's why. This has been an assumption that the media continues to make that I don't really see them backing. Now, if you would say, hey, we interviewed 100 people and, why didn't they go? And they said this, that would be one thing, but they're just assuming that's why. The box office recovery took a huge hit as Warner Brothers and DC's Critical Darling opened to a less than expected $26 million from 4,000 North American theaters amid challenges posed by the new COOF and the hybrid theatrical home launch. See, I don't understand kind of this making the simultaneous release argument. I suppose, yeah, but I don't expect the box office to be exactly the same if people can still sit at home and watch it, especially for a movie like this where it's like middle of the road. I don't have a huge interest in it, but would I just throw it on? Yeah. So like, okay, I can make some popcorn at home and watch it for free, in quotations. Yeah. I would submit that the more mediocre a movie is, the more likely our people will just stay home and watch it. You could say the movie could claim one victory as it scored the top-notch North American opening post-lockdown for R-rated film. Overseas, where the COOF is likewise on the rise in the number of territories, it collected just $35 million from 71 markets for a foreign tally of $46.7 million and a global take of 72. And by the way, what we've also seen, if we look at just tracking, for example, Black Widow, the second week has been a massive drop in most cases in the post-lockdown era. So we're going to see, if this movie has any legs or not. Heading into the weekend, Warner was predicting $30 million to start North American theaters. The film was made simultaneously available on HBO Max, a practice that many box office pundits say hurt theatrical releases. Studios so far have not disclosed streaming viewership numbers for its 2021 slate of films, including the DC Cinematic Universe tentpole. However, HBO chief Andy Fossil revealed Sunday that it boasted the second most viewed opening of any film premiering day and date on HBO. Sources say Mortal Kombat is number one, although no one is certain of this viewership tally. I wouldn't have thought a DC tentpole film would have similar viewership as Mortal Kombat. That's kind of a self-own. Now, the Squad is not well known outside of Margot Robbie's character, but still, 20 million? A month ago, Disney and Marvel's Black Widow opened to a post-lockdown era best 80 million on the big screen. I mean, 80 million that made. compared to 26, and that movie is still going to lose money. A home release on HBO Max certainly complicates matters for the Squad's theatrical release, as does Disney Plus Premier Access option for Jungle Cruise. The latter, however, costs an extra $30 to watch on Premier Access, while the Squad is offered at no additional charge. So I'm saying that, you know, for Disney to have lower box office numbers isn't necessarily a bad thing for Disney when they do the joint releases. Both Warner and Disney maintain that they need to hedge their bets during the lockdowns. Critics adored the film, which sports an impressive 92% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience were slightly less enthused, giving it a B+, still decent. Males fueled the film as usual, while also flocking to watch it in IMAX and other premium large format screens. Combined, those screens turned more than 30% of the gross. The movie had hoped to reinvigorate the franchise following 2016, the film in which David Ayer, directed by David Ayer, and debuted to $175 million. Just think about that. It's the 16th title in the DCEU and opened lower than Birds of Prey, which also starred Robbie and launched in early 2020. It did worse than Birds of Prey. Worse. And Birds of Prey was a flop and had a far smaller budget. This is, I mean, look, at this point, like, this is bad news for Hollywood. I don't really know any other way to kind of slice and dice this. This is really bad news for Hollywood. People just don't want to go back to the movies. You have Jungle Cruise has now earned $65 million domestically, and at the overseas box office, another 15 for a tally of $56.5 million and $121 million globally. I mean, and again, Jungle Cruise budget, what was that? You know, you have some pretty big actors. $200 million. Jungle Cruise is going to need $500 million worldwide to break even. It has $121 million. Never going to do it. This is a colossal. Jungle Cruise lost a fortune. It's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. The Squad is going to lose $100 million. Especially since HBO Max has it for free. So the only additional dollars that Warner is generating is brand new subscriptions for HBO Max to just watch this movie. You see, The Squad misses mark at $72 million global overseas, on par with Birds of Prey. Again, we don't know that the new kind of fresh variant, hot off the presses, is why people didn't go. We don't know that. I feel like Fast 9 was starting to be more of an anomaly at this point. After debuting to $6.7 million from 5 overseas markets last weekend, Warner Brothers' Squad movie moved into wide offshore release this session, taking $35 million from 69 total international box office markets. This is a touch below the like-for-like opening of 2020's disappointing Birds of Prey, $36 million, and under the $40 million we were seeing coming into the frame. The offshore total is $45.7 million, which domestic debut is $72 million. Still, this well-reviewed James Gunn-held franchise entry had a strong minus 25% hold in its already opened overseas markets, and notably landed number 1 in Russia, Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and Italy. Nevertheless, and despite positive reactions, hopes were higher for The Squad, and there are several factors contributing to the lackluster start. I'm sure that it isn't the Hollywood, people getting sick of Hollywood. I'm sure it's just the COOF's fault. Closures in Australia, Mexico, and the introduction of a health pass requirement in Italy weekend impacted their debut. The latter markets were down overall by an estimated 70%. In France, there's still confusion and contempt for the health pass, while competition from local titles was felt there as well as in Germany. The Squad, whose title doesn't do enough to delineate itself from the 2016 movie. Yeah, also a dumb. They did this with Birds of Prey, terrible title. And why would you just call it the same thing? I didn't understand that either. It's also available HBO Max domestically, making piracy other contributing factor. But just as we've seen on all recent day-and-date films, what we haven't seen recently is purely theatrical global start for a major title. Actually, that's not true. We had A Quiet Place Part 2. Next weekend's Free Guy from Disney will be one to watch, but we'll also be dealing with the continually shifting coup situation. Wait, if it's Disney's movie, won't they have it on Disney Plus as well? I imagine they would, right? I mean, I think this is a real moment of panic for Hollywood. I think that they have probably overplayed their hands. Never forget, too, John Cena also starring in this film. There's a lot of people that don't care for John Cena. As far as, actors and actresses who've opened their mouths and said something stupid, John Cena's one of them. And also, I'm not sure anyone gave a crap about any of these movies. I just don't think, I mean, Black Widow, okay, maybe. You have The Squad, 92%, 85% audience score. It's like, pretty much everyone liked this and no one paid for it. We're not supposed to notice all this pilfering from movies of our childhood, but I noticed them. This movie is a mess. The lack of narrative momentum or compelling character arcs start to wear on you. The jokes get old. Question, so where are the good guys? Answer, there are no good guys. Rotten. So very few negative reviews. It was reviewed by 256 pros with an 85% audience score. Most of the people that I trust say the movie's decent to good, and still no one cares. Time to panic yet, Hollywood? I'm thinking, yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.